Welcome. What a great word that is. How it makes us feel good when we hear it or when we see the actions that welcome people. If you came in the parish center door today, you saw a 15-foot high banner that said, "Welcome." And that banner will move to the other doors of the church. As we think about Advent as that time of welcoming Jesus and welcoming one another. About 3 weeks ago, we sent out a postcard to all our parishioners, inviting them to come during the season of Advent. Because when there is someone missing from our group, from our community, there is something missing in our community. And so therefore, we want everyone to feel comfortable and to come and to join us and to be part of this celebration of the Eucharist, which is the center point of our whole life as Christians and the center point of this community. And so that whole idea of welcome should be very much part of our Advent understanding, and that it should be more than just welcoming and looking with expectation for the Lord, but it should be welcoming and looking for the Lord in one another. And as I prepared for this homily, the thoughts came to me about what is going on in our community and in the community of our whole country. The whole idea that now Ferguson has taken on a new meaning, a new call of reflection for us. And whether it be Ferguson or whether it be New York City or Washington, there is much unrest in our community and even here in Rochester. And we need to recognize that. We cannot pretend that it does not exist, but we need to recognize it very much. For it is something that could tear apart our community, tear apart the goodness that we do. And that is, church people, we are committed to bring goodness into the world. Last Tuesday, I was at the DNC, Democrat and Chronicle building, for a meeting of about 60 or 70 leaders of the Rochester community. There are different areas that they came from. There was myself as chaplain of the police department, as pastor. There were other ministers there from our city community. There was the mayor herself. There was the county manager represented. There were many different levels of government represented. There was the judiciary represented. There was those people who work with the poor and the minority represented. And the 60 of us or so, 70 maybe, were commissioned to try to respond to this crisis in our community. Our group had been just formed about 2 weeks before this for that very special, significant event that might happen. We did not expect that it would happen so soon. And so therefore we, who were so much novices at this, sat down to try to work together to express our common view that we need to make our community one and our community strong. This morning, if you read in the paper on the editorial page, there is a result of that meeting, very few points that call people, all people, to look at this situation and to reflect upon it in their lives, in their own situation. And it was interesting because as we went around the group, the first and foremost that everyone agreed on is that we need to be people of prayer, that all of us need to pray, to unite ourselves together, to unite ourselves with the God who wants us to be his people and to live in peace. Then we got down to more of the nitty-gritty, more of the challenging issues that affect us. And one of the things is to realize that, first of all, there is prejudice. And whether that prejudice be because of someone's skin or because of their language, or even prejudice because of the uniform they wear or the badge that they carry, that there are different views that are caused not by reality, but by perception. And that one of the things that we must do as a community is to try to overcome the bad perceptions and try to replace that with what is right and true and just, which brings an appreciation of other people. We cannot be a community that is always saying that it is them, it is them, it is all of us. It does not make any difference who we are. If we're not part of the solution, we are part of the problem. And so therefore, we as a praying community, as a church community, must look at ourselves and see what we can do to help to bring our community back together. In the editorial page, there is also a little coupon that people who would support this could clip out and send in, that they in their own lives would try to overcome the problems that we face, to try to overcome them by recognizing the goodness in people, the recognizing that no matter what our color may be, what our language may be, what our work may be, that we support the whole idea of justice and peace, that we try to eliminate the evil that is in this world, that we try to cultivate in a place where all of us can share the goodness that is ours. And therefore, we need to look at this situation and to try to de-escalate the violence that is part of this. For violence is never going to be a solution. Violence only adds to this problem. And so when we say that we need to sit down and talk, it is not going to be with those people who react in violence and burn buildings and beat on people and to become offensive to the law and the land of our society. But it must be an ability to see that there are many, many, many more people out there in our community that represent the totality of our community, that is looking for a solution, that is trying to find ways that we can emphasize the good that is in each and every one of us. And that is what we have to get down to, is to get away from the stereotyping, the categorizing, and to see people as people, to see good people in our whole community, to recognize whether we're poor or rich, black or white, whether we work here or there, we are all working for the same cause, that of peace, that of justice. And that means that a lot of us have to take another look at this whole situation, that we have to recognize that there are many people out in our community hurting for many different reasons. Just to look at the poverty rate in Rochester, just to think that there are children who go hungry in Rochester while we're filling in the inner loop, is kind of amazing that we cannot get ourselves together in order to attack the common roots of the problems that we see of poverty, injustice, prejudice, and that we need to root out those prejudice, and that we need to be able to see people as people. 2 nights before that, I was sitting with the widow of Darrell Pearson, the police officer who was gunned down on our streets, and I could feel her pain, even though she is a very strong and a very graceful woman. She got up to speak at this event and talked about the whole idea that the evil that will happen to her husband will be overcome by the greatness of our community, by how the people came out and supported her and her family, all the things that happened, and that will be the mark for her of these events, the goodness of people, not the evil that exists. I also thought back on the day that I was at a hospital with one of our parishioners whose son was laying there in bed, shot many times on the streets of our city, and the sadness, the grief that was hers, the unable to cope with what had happened to the son that she loved so much. That is what we have to think about, real people that are being victimized by the evil of this world, that are being put in positions that are untenable in the situations in which our society is now going. So we need to be people committed to finding a solution, committed to look into our own hearts to see how we could reach out to one another and how we can be aware of the goodness that is in the hearts of all people, to be able to look beyond those who are bent on violence, those who are bent on hatred, those who are bent to destroy the unity of our community, and to be able to support one another as we try to bring peace and justice, as we work for equality for all, as we are conscious of the needs of our brothers and sisters, as we try to find the goodness that is in our community. That is what it really means to be people of Advent, people seeking Christ. We seek Christ not only in our Eucharist, but we seek Christ in one another. We seek Christ in our own community. We seek Christ in people of different colors, different races, different abilities, different walks of life. We seek always to honor our justice system. We seek always to work for what we have established as one nation under God. And so that is the challenge that we have this Advent. That is the challenge that each of you face. I cannot tell you what to do. I cannot tell you how to solve it. I cannot tell you how we're going to solve the bigger issue. But it has to start with each of us. It has to start with our willingness to try to see Christ in one another. If we do that, then we will truly be able to come to a solution, for Christ will give us the answer. He will lead us to be people of peace and justice and love.